I get nervous playing darts more than I did ever playing football. I have 10 lads on that pitch who can back me up and drag me through. If I have a bad game, they'll just work harder. See, when I step on that hockey, I'm on my own.
Welcome along to the latest edition of the Tungsten Talk here at the MODUS Super Series, where we talk to players about their lives and their careers and where it all began and where they hope it's going to go to. Now, today's episode features a player that's not just adept at one sport, but adept at two. Jamie Owens is with myself and Paul Nicholson. Now, darts isn't your first trade, is it, sporting-wise?
No, it's not. Obviously, a lot of people know now, so it's football. I don't know where to start really. It was a bit of in lockdown. I was contracted to a club, full pay at work, nothing to do with myself, and then obviously put a board up. Couldn't leave the house, so that's basically where it started.
We'll talk about the darts in a bit. I want to talk about your football journey and where that kind of began for yourself.
I was very small as a kid, so I played like left back. And then I ventured up to centre mid, and then I had like a mad break where I never played football from 14 to 18, like nothing, and I had a growth spurt. And then one day someone asked me to come down and said, "Can you go up top?" And I was like, "Go up top." Anyway, I went up, scored 4. A week later, scored 4. And it kicked on from there. The league wasn't great, and then a team came in for me and gave me a shot, and then I was done a bit of a loan spell for a club called Wolverston, and there was a old chap called Harry Dunn. He was manager of Whitby Town, and Whitby Town were like a very good level at the time, higher than Northern League, so like step 5 or something. And he basically came to watch a defender I was playing against, and I got the better of the defender on the day, and he approached my parents and asked me if I could come down for a trial. So first game for Whitby in a trial game was against Middlesbrough FC, and behind closed doors, and I had the likes of Marvin Emnes and players like that playing, and obviously I've only been used to just pub players basically, and I done really well, so he offered me a deal, and really I never looked back. Like, it wasn't ever the top level, but it was a very good living alongside your job.
So what kind of age are we talking about when you signed for Whitby?
19, about 19, yeah, and then I was there for a season and a half, and got loads of experience. Obviously, I was playing a bit part because obviously I was very young at the time. They had the likes of Andy Campbell, who scored against Man United twice, and Tony Ackworth, he was a Leeds captain for years. So I was playing third striker to them two. So I was getting minutes here, minutes there, and eventually I learned to trade a bit, so it just wasn't enough for me. So I came back more local, and then went to Northern League, and I never looked back really.
So from there, what was the next level? What was the next transfer for yourself?
From Whitby, I went to Norton and Stockton Ancients, which is I think it's a step 7 club, which is Northern League. It was, on pay wise, it was steady. You could make a good living, a few beers on a weekend, whatever you want, and then I remember a club called Celtic Nation from Carlisle. They came in, and the budget was mental, so clubs had to match it basically, and that's how you could go second division. League 2, Hartlepool. Some of the players in Northern League were making more than Hartlepool, and they were training once a week. So a lot of League 2 players were looking, thinking, I want to go drop down, get a part-time job. You're going to earn a lot more. So
the balance was quite nice then, playing at a nice level, the money was okay, you were able to train part-time, kind of all the commodities came together. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, and I mean, you're still young and you're in your 20s, and you still want to live life a bit, so you're not taking it that serious. And you see, after the game, the lads would all stick together and we'd go for a few pints or whatever they wanted, and we'd go out, and it was more of like a family. And eventually I signed for Stockton Town, and a lot of the lads who play for Stockton, there's a couple of them still there now, believe it or not, and we used to play on a Sunday, and there was 9 of the first 11 on a Sunday who played for Stockton. So these lads I see 3-4 times a week. I see them pretty much just as much as I see my missus and the kids. So it was like a little family, and none of us ever left because it was nice.
As you know, this is my kind of domain, and at that level, that there's a lot of players that We're very good at one sport, very good at another. I mean, there's another player I know, he plays for Dorking Wanderers, a very, very talented footballer, but also a scratch golfer and a PGA Tour coach. And there was at that level of non-league football, there's players that could be adept to different things. And because you haven't got that full-time way, you've got other things that you can express.
Yeah, definitely. I think hand-eye coordination is very important. I played football as a kid, but I was made of glass. I would break something or pull something very easily. So playing darts as a non-contact sport was a lot safer for me. But I think you look at some dart players who've come through over the years. Gezi Price is a perfect example of this. But Colin Osborne, also from Jamie's neck of the woods, everything he did was at a very good level. So there are transferable skills, whether it's a contact sport or not. And I suppose the biggest transferable skill is the mental side. You can go from a team environment to a singles environment like darts, but there are transferable skills there because you've still got to be mentally strong.
In terms of sports for somebody to play and then move into another, is darts one of the, I wouldn't say easiest, but one that for a professional sports person maybe in other trades would be able to adapt a bit quicker maybe than others?
The one thing I will say, and I don't want to cheat this sport at all, but we are seeing more examples of it now, it's being seen as a secondary career. Because you can be up to the age of 70 and still winning tournaments in the case of Paul Lim, you might have a great football career or maybe a rugby career or something like that. And then when you're physically not able to play at that same level again, if you're a really good dart player like Jamie is or John Bowles or Gezi Price, you might have 15 years as a dart player to take you into your 50s. And that's just encouraging another market of player.
In terms of skills that you could transfer from football into darts, would you say were the biggest ones you were able to?
I get nervous playing darts more than I did ever playing football. Mm-hmm. That's because, obviously, like I said before, I have 10 lads on that pitch who can back me up and drag me through. If I have a bad game, they'll just work harder. See, when I step on that hockey, I'm on my own, and there's no one's going to pat you on the shoulder and say, oh, go on, you've got this. You can't until the game's over. And by then, you've lost. So for me, the will to win, like I like winning. I never get bored of winning. It doesn't matter what level I play at, in a pub team, playing against my pal in my house, darts. It doesn't matter. I want to win. Simple as that.
Everybody wants to win, Jamie, but do you think there's something about the northeast of England and the working class mentality, especially Teesside, because of the depravity of the last 50 years of steelworks being shut down and things like that? The feeling of winning is almost taken over, and if you can get that, it makes things better, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah, 100%. And obviously, like I say, darts isn't a sport that costs a lot of money, does it, really? You know, you can get a second-hand set of darts, you can get a second-hand board, and you put it up, and you can batter that board 12 hours a day. You can turn from a nobody into a somebody in a short space of time. I've got two pals now who are playing darts 3-4 times a week. They've been playing 6 weeks, and they're hitting 60-odd averages now, and they're scaring people in the vaults. And that's why they're so important for people who are coming through and trying it out, because anyone can play.
One of the most important things about the demographics of darts is that you've got to understand who's playing and why. So if you look at Olympic sailing, for instance, where are the people from when they do it? Look at Olympic rowing. Where are they from? Universities. When you look at hotbeds of darts, particularly in the UK, you look at St Helens, Warrington, that part of the world, Middlesbrough, Newcastle, parts of Scotland and Wales. What do they all have in common? Working class backgrounds in a sport that is cheap to start. You don't see many people in Olympic rowing or sailing from those areas for good reason. You
said that in the vaults you can go from a nobody to a somebody. Do you feel like that's a little bit the story of your career and your road over the last year or so?
Obviously the vaults weren't really about it. Was more of a pub league when I first started. But 100% the vaults they've brought me on massively. I look back on me, like I look on my phone, I look back, first vault, first series, 70 average. Next series, for the full series, 75, 80. This one about 88. So the problem is two legs. You can either be world class or you can be, if your doubles go in, you know, it's one of them. But I think it's shown over the last 2 years since I started how far I've come myself. So I believe everyone else is on the same path.
And do you feel like for you it's attainable progress, that it's been a lot of progress, but it's also at an attainable rate that you can continue to grow as a player?
Yeah, see, I do it more of a social now, the vaults. I use the same one week in, week out, so I meet the lads in there. I don't usually drink during the week, but we'll catch up, order some food, and for me, it's, like I say, I love to win it, but I just want to get steady. I'm not bothered about these big 100 averages. I'm not bothered about these low 70s. I'm happy with a solid 85 for the day. That's all I'm after at the minute, and that's what I'm trying to work on. So I'm trying to lay up and stuff, you know.
Let's talk about some of the highlights of the football career then. And the one that stands out is the FA Vars final at Wembley. I know the result didn't quite go the way you would have wanted, but as an experience, what is it like to play under the arch?
It was unbelievable. Obviously, you can imagine. Never in my life ever thought I'd play at Wembley. I went close a few years prior. I played for Shildon and we got beat in the semi-final. 3-0 up, lost 4-3. So that I would have played Spennymoor in the final that year. And to put things into context, me and my missus and the kids, we booked a holiday because we were 66-1 to get to the final. Oh, I'm like, come on, no, it's not going to happen. So we booked a holiday at the same time as the Vars final, not looking that far forward. Every round ticked off, and eventually I have to fly home from an holiday to play football. But it was amazing. The full setup, the changing room. You had your pictures on the wall. They changed the crest. We were in the England, like the national team's dressing room, and they changed the crest on the floor from the English one to obviously the Stockton Town one. And it's just little touches like that was amazing.
What was the bit about playing there that amazed you more than anything else?
I just feel like it's so big, but when you're playing on the pitch, you don't notice it. It's like going back to the hockey, you stand on there, you don't see no one else out the side of your eye, you just see what's in front of you. And that's what I've seen on the pitch. I look about, if I'm not watching the pitch, I can see the place huge. But if I concentrate on the pitch, I don't see anybody. That's what got me the most.
In fact, you two got something in common because both of your career highlight moments were commentated on by Peter Drury. Your FA Vars final, your Players' Championship win.
Yeah, I mean, Peter's elite, isn't he? He does a great job, has done for many years. And I feel extremely privileged that my biggest moment in my career was commentated on by such a legendary guy. And it's just amazing that almost since then, he hasn't done darts. So that was a very small window that I had a chance to have someone like him commentating on my moment. But yeah, we have that in common, and it just goes to show how transcendent Peter is.
Let's talk about you and how the football then became the darts. You mentioned lockdown, obviously. You didn't have much to do. You put a board up, you hammered home. Initially, when you were playing at home, how good were you standard-wise?
I was hit and miss, so you're talking... when I started in 180s frequently, I was like, you know, this is going to go somewhere. Then we decided to have like a in-house practice game against a local team who were decent, and I couldn't really get beat. And I'm thinking, and then first ever, we joined the league, and then I moved on. And I think my first game, I played a lad called Sean Jowers, who was really county A player for Teesside, Cleveland, and I beat him first game. So a lot of people started asking questions and saying where have I come from and stuff, and they're like, can't be Jamie the footballer, you know. But I would say mid-70s when I first started. Then, in terms of football, you got an injury, didn't you? Quite a bad one. Yeah, it still hurts me now, to be honest. Went up for a header, landed wrong, PCL, back of my knee, so put me on the sick for 3 months, off work, everything really. I was quite lucky that it wasn't my standing foot because I could still continue to play darts, so I tried to go back. I mean, I'm still contracted now for the team, but it's hard. It's hard to find a balance, you see, when you want to pursue one career at the later stage of another. You've got to make a choice. And is it difficult? Because football's one of those things when you're working with it, be a player with other capacities, that there's a bug about it, isn't there? And it's such a hard one to take away, isn't it? And once you're involved in the game, you don't feel like you want to leave the game, do you? It's like there's a saying, isn't there? Once you're retired, you're a long time retired. So people say you should be playing as long as you physically can. But what I notice now with myself is when I play 5-a-side still once a week sometimes, and I'll play and I get about the pitch, but the next day I walk like a crab down the stairs sideways, and it's like that's what they don't see. I'm seeing young 18 and 19-year-olds run about and they can do it again and again and again. I'll play good on the night, but the next day and the day after, that's when it's struggling.
So let's talk about the darts. Let's talk about here. You won an ADC qualifier to get here initially, and you made an instant impact once you turned up. You won the Group A. First of all, when you arrived on that Monday morning, did you expect it to be, in terms of performances, in terms of results, for you to settle in as quickly as you did?
It's for me, it's about finding a level. Like people like obviously. No, I don't really look at odds and stuff, and like people are saying, "Oh, I can't believe it." This local lads see how I play at home, and they're like, "How on earth are you that high?" And obviously, people haven't done and seen me play, but I didn't expect to settle so quick and win so many games. I was happy to get a good start, but it's difficult because they're all top quality players, aren't they? Really, so you just got to take each game in a stride.
One thing that comes up a lot, Jamie, is the fact that people tend to play better here because the conditions are ideal.
Yeah.
When you play in local clubs, things like vaults, I don't personally know what they're like, but when you play locally, Henry, some of the conditions might not be ideal. So you might chuck in a 75 average because the board might seem a bit further away. But when you come here, you've got so much space to breathe. You've got ideal practice conditions. And in some places, you don't even have a board to practice on. So that's got to be one of the reasons why people lift their game when they come here.
Like I say, this is probably one of the best throws I've ever been involved with. So I got told about the throw before I even turned up here, saying it's just so nice, and I think everything's perfect. It's the most professional you're going to get at this level. Like Paul said there, the problem is in pubs you've got people shouting around you and people in your eye line, and here there's you, your opponent, and a referee, and that's it. You don't even see the cameras, so I think that's why the averages are so good. Obviously, everyone's capable of them.
In terms of the caliber of the opponents, and obviously when you're here, you're going to be playing some of the biggest names without a tour card. In terms of playing people of that caliber, how much had you played against the real top level of the amateur game prior to this?
Hardly none, to be honest. This was the biggest step up for me. Like, I knew I had the game. It was just getting it out. And I to be fair, I'm better under pressure. I like being under pressure. I like people scoring against me. You see, if I get too far in front, then I get lackadaisy and then I can't hit me doubles. But I mean, tonight I'm looking at them and I've watched them all play. I've watched them for years play. And now I'm here playing against them. So it's going to be interesting.
Things are different now as well because the blueprint of going from point A to point P, let's say, it's a lot faster. Back 25 years ago, I remember meeting Glenn Durrant for the first time at a Stormont main club in Gateshead, making the final with, there were players there like Gary Stevens, great Teesside players, Dave Blencarn, who played for Durham. They all used to attend, and everybody came from Cumbria, Southern Scotland, Northumberland, Tyne and Wear, and Teesside and Wearside, all congregated on these tournaments. But now, because of the ADC, you don't have to travel as far to find tournament life. And getting to something like this 25 years ago, you had a chance of making the World Masters in Lakeside, and that was about it. But now, you've got someone like Jamie going to a vault competition, qualifying and being here a lot quicker.
And whilst you have been here, you qualified for both of the finals nights you've had some good memories here. Probably the best one is probably the 170 against Victor Tingstrom. That's got to be the highlight of all highlights.
I keep winding him up about it, He's, that one, everyone's like, why did you stop? Like, if I went straight for it, I'd have missed. I like to that's how I compose myself. Like, I stopped, took a deep breath, stepped back up, and it went in. 9 out of 10 don't go in, so that was meant for me. But the next game against Daniel Larson, that's what done me. I was the hype was too high. I went back, still hyped up, came back out dead quick, and I couldn't settle. And that's, if I had an extra half hour maybe, it might have been different. I might have made the final that night.
So let's move forward then, look at the future. You mentioned you're juggling the end of one career with the start of another. What does it look like for you, maybe a little bit more shorter term and a little bit more longer term, particularly with the darts?
I keep on and on about darts, see, and I always get drawn back to it. I love it. I think football's finished now. Just fun now, that's it. Bit of fitness. Definitely not a professional or semi-professional level, anything like that. I'm bitten on now. Darts for me now going forward, I'm going to try and get a few sponsors hopefully and keep producing good darts, and then people will see why, and I'll have another crack at Q School. And I think this year's more bit of challenge tour here, few big comps, bit WWF, and then go from there. Really, next year's massive.
And then tour card maybe before too long?
hopefully that's the plan. It's just it's a hectic life. It is. It really is. I think people don't realise, and I'm not even doing that kind of life. I'm doing like a part of it, and I'm still all over. So I need to find a balance at home first, and then hopefully that's the future plan.
Looks like we're going to be getting more dart players having protein shakes and looking fit like Jamie, like Gezi Price. It's just, things are changing. And it's not happening slowly. People are starting to figure out that if you've got a level of fitness and mental sharpness, you can do great things in the space of, let's say, 10 years. Gezi Price makes it to the tour in 2014 within 7 years as a world champion. Sometimes it used to take a lot longer than that. So when Jamie's talking about doing Q school and progressing, we can't say that it won't happen.
Well, Jamie, thank you for your time. Really great delving into your career. Wish you all the best with everything going forward. Nico, thank you as ever. Thank you very much for watching the Tungsten Talk here at the MODUS Super Series.